So late last night, Codemasters were on 2 live streams talking about and promoting F1 2018 the game. The stream that you're looking at is the first one that they did with IGN. As you can see, Lee Mather's there, he's the head designer of the game. Today I'm going to talk about the gameplay. I'm going to talk about what's the biggest features of this year's game. And then in the next video I'll talk about the career mode, because I cannot ignore that. I cannot ignore the career mode when there's so many big details. But today I just thought I'd talk about the gameplay and what the biggest things that I took from both live streams, mainly this one. So as you can see, if you watch the live stream, the presenter, I don't know who her name was, but she was talking to Lee Mather about the game, about the new season, what the biggest changes are, and the first thing that he mentioned was about the halo. Now for the first time, if you're in cockpit, you have the option to remove the central halo tongue device, if that makes sense. So basically what I'm trying to say is that when you're in cockpit cam, you get the chance to remove the central mount of the halo, so it makes viewing better. The halo device won't be removed fully, it'll just be the central mount. It doesn't matter what view you'll be racing in, the halo will still be there, like the actual halo part will still be there, but if you're in cockpit cam, the central part of the halo will still be there. So I think that's a good decision. Obviously they couldn't ignore the halo, they couldn't remove it, since obviously technically it's the biggest thing of the 2018 season, so fair play to them. The second thing I want to talk about is the ERS management system. Lee Mather went into detail about this, and plus Araver made a couple videos about this, talking about how to manage it. It doesn't work like F1 2013 anymore. It kind of works like the fuel. You know how with the fuel management you have rich, standard, lean? There's now 5 options for the ERS system, and those 5 options are non, harvest, fast, overtake, and quali. I could be wrong, but I think those are the 5 options. Obviously, qualify mode will give you the most power. That's what the teams use in real life. Then the overtake is obviously overtake is where it gives you more power to overtake a car. I think harvest is when you save the ERS system, and of course none is when you don't use any at all. That's when you'll probably be at your lowest, or your slowest. So I think it's actually good that we actually get to choose how we want to control and manage our ERS system. So again, fair play. The next thing that Lee Mather talked about in this live stream was the tyres. Obviously in the 2018 season there are now two tyre types for the 2018 season, and he also talked about the suspension. Now apparently there's like, what did he say, 1,000 heads, so now apparently according to Lee, you get to feel the car like riding over a bump, and of course the curbs as well. So I'm guessing the curbs are not going to be as easy to just go over like you could in F1 2017. In 2017, you could just fly over them and easily gain a 10th or 2. Now it's more difficult. Now you've got to be careful like how you approach the apex and the curb. If you take too much, that's going to unsettle the car, and it could ruin your lap or your race. Just like Kimi Räikkönen's lap around Canada in qualifying last Saturday. So I think that's all he said about the gameplay wise. He talked about the ERS system, he talked about the suspension, he talked about the KERS. Yeah, and of course as you can see, here's some of the gameplay. Not bad. Of course the halo's still there, everything looks up to date. The one thing that I do recognise is the graphics of the game. Obviously he talked about the evolution of the graphics from 2016 to 2017 to 2018, and I have to be honest, this game looks way better than it does in 2017. But it reminds, like, the brightness of this game reminds me of 2011. I don't know why, it just just this feel, just the color scheme, the brightness, the graphics, it just reminds me of F1 2011. And plus, also with this suspension change, then I wouldn't be surprised if this game is like 2011, to be honest. So, yeah. They did mention about Paul Ricard and the new Hockenheim Grand Prix. We didn't see any gameplay of that, unfortunately. Obviously, we are seeing the Force India in Mexico. Speaking of Force India, the engine sounds, that's a big thing for this year. Well, it's not really that big, but they've got the official engine sounds now, which, thank you. I knew there was something wrong with the 2017 game. I just, like, every time I raced on 2017, I just felt like it wasn't official. Like, the cars weren't official, they didn't sound official comparing to the actual real life cars. So I'm actually glad that they've actually got in the real life engine sounds for Ferrari, Renault, Honda, Mercedes. So you'll be able to hear that in the game. Speaking of gameplay, they've also done some minor changes here and there. Sebastian Vettel has his black gloves, so I know that was one thing a lot of people were asking for last year, and finally in 2018 he's finally got it. So if Vettel has his black gloves, then it must mean Bottas has to have his blue gloves. So does this mean that when we are able to customize our driver in career mode, does this mean we get to choose the color of our gloves? Who knows? Or, like, there might be a certain color scheme that we can choose our gloves for the career mode. But as you can see, here's some of the gameplay in cockpit cam. Notice how the central mount of the halo is still there. Lee Mather, like I said earlier, he said that you have the option now to take away the central mount of the halo to increase better vision. So yeah, everything looks decent right now. Graphics look great. Engine sounds, just this game looks good so far. I can't wait to actually start, getting into more detail about this game and the news and the stuff. So as you can see, there's Sebastian Vettel in his Ferrari. Notice the central mount is gone. So this is there to increase the view, and plus his black gloves as well. Notice the ERS batteries on the LED lights. So looks like the ERS management on the LEDs will be an indication with the actual management, with whatever option you want to choose. So Lee Mather was talking about classic cars and online and esports, but he didn't really mention that much. He said about classic cars, but he still said that he's still yet to reveal what classic cars will be in the game. So I can't wait for that. But there are some notable changes for this year. So of course, ERS management, suspension, and tyres and all that stuff. So I can't wait for F1 2018. What did you think of the live stream?